Hello everyone and welcome back to the Perfect French with Dylane. Today we're on lesson 51 of the pronunciation course. We are going to see unusual pronunciation. Why I didn't say irregular pronunciation, I'm not too sure. I call this lesson unusual pronunciation. So for the book it's on page 88, 89 and 90. I know that anything irregular in French is a bit of a pain, I have to say that, for French learners. So try to not see this lesson as something hard, just something informative. You've already been so far with the pronunciation course, you learned so many rules. This is mostly reviewed at what we saw during the course. Some of the things are new, but this is mostly reviewing. And don't forget that you have the recording, it's number 99, so you can listen to the word in repeat. So the first one we are going to see today is when OE is pronounced as a O, so a close O. We have un oignon. We have a link here. Un oignon. Oignon. So I don't say un oignon, I say un oignon. I always say that you should remember this one by reading the English translation, but with a French accent. Un oignon. The next one, we have seen some of those during the course when the E is pronounced as a A, and you already know one of them. Une femme. Femme is one of the words that you learn at the beginning. Une femme. Évidemment. 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 Innocemment. 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 So here the C is pronounced as a S. Innocemment. Because it's a E after, so the C turned into a S. If it was an A, an actual A, it would be innocemment, but it's not. Innocemment. 3 more. Intelligemment. 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 Prudemment. 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 Violemment. 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 So here you've probably seen it. It's usually when the E is followed by MM. Double M. The next one, very important one, when AI is going to be pronounced as a E. And this is mostly for the verb faire, to do, to make, when it's conjugated. So let's see. Nous faisons. Faisons. Nous faisons. So technically it's supposed to say faisons, AI in the middle of the word make the sound E, faisons, but we say faisons. Faisons. Je faisais. Faisais. Je faisais. Faisais. Tu faisais, same thing. Tu faisais. Faisais. Il faisait. Il faisait. Elle faisait, same one. Elle faisait. Vous faisiez. Vous faisiez. Faisiez. Il faisait. Elle faisait. Il faisait. Elle faisait. Okay? The next one, we have only one for this one, or at least one common one, when the U is going to be pronounced as a close E. So we have un puzzle. 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 This one is very particular. Here we have ON that is going to be pronounced as a E. Monsieur. 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 But we have so much more than only the E in this word. And I don't know why I didn't include it in the book, so I'm going to explain it to you, everything about it right now. So, the EU is not going to be a closed sound. It's the same one as a P, because the R at the end is not pronounced. So it's going to be monsieur, monsieur, monsieur. So here you read monsieur, monsieur. It's actually pronounced monsieur, monsieur. French is such a beautiful language, I know. The next one is when on is not pronounced on, but we are going to pronounce o and then we are going to pronounce the n, which usually happens when we have a vowel after on. But here we don't. Here we're going to see two examples when we have a h after. So we have un bonhomme, bonhomme, un bonhomme. I don't say un bon homme, I say un bonhomme. So little boy, there's a lot of translation for this word. It's used in many different ways. I'm not going to go too much into it right now, but it can have many translations. Second one, which is a bit the same one, we have un bonhomme de neige. Un bonhomme de neige. Un bonhomme de neige. So snowman. We've seen very recently, a few lessons ago, about S. And sometimes S at the end of a word is going to be pronounced. 90% of the time it's not going to be pronounced, especially when it's the plural of noun, of adjective, etc. But there are some words where we pronounce it. I'm going to give you 2 or 3 tips after we see the little list of words I put together for you. So let's see. Un ours. Ours. Un ours. We have a link. Un ours. Un virus. Un virus. Virus. Un tournevis. Un tournevis. Un tournevis. Un utérus. Un utérus. Un pénis. Un pénis. Le tennis. Le tennis. This one, un fils. Fils. So here we don't pronounce the L. Un fils. Un rhinocéros. Un rhinocéros. Rhinocéros. Du couscous. Du couscous. So here, something that you can remember is that when there's a word ending in us and in es, especially nouns, I don't talk about verbs right now, because verbs, that's going to happen a lot, but it's not going to have the pronunciation. When we have a noun such as un virus, un tournevis, usually it's going to be pronounced. Usually. I don't say 100% of the time, but usually. Now when the T at the end is pronounced, we already seen those. We have mat, 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 net, net, net. And thank you, Mike, for correcting my mistake on the translation. This one, un but, but, un but. Now this one is very interesting. How many times can I say now during this lesson? So I'm gonna try to not say it anymore. This one is very interesting. When we have a pt at the end or in the middle of the word. We've seen the one that are in the middle of the word already. We haven't seen the one that's at the end. But you already know it. So when we have pt, we don't pronounce the p. We're only going to pronounce the t. Let's see. Set. I told you you know it. Set. Set. Compter. 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 Un comptable. Un comptable. Comptable. We've seen this one as well when mn is going to be pronounced n. Let's see too. L'automne. 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 Condamné. Condamné. So I don't say condamné and I don't say l'automne. I say condamné, l'automne. So that worked for those two and all the words around them. So condamnation, automnal, etc. This one is very surprising, and I don't think a lot of French learners actually realize that we have two different pronunciations. AI in a very specific case is going to be pronounced sometimes E, sometimes E. And I think a lot of people don't realize it because they just can't hear the difference between E and E. But I think you can hear it now. If you follow the course, technically you can hear it. So let's see. When we have aimer, aimer, so the infinitive of the verb to like, to love, aimer, the AI at the beginning is pronounced E. E, mais, so AI at the beginning is pronounced E, ER at the end is pronounced E. But when the verb is conjugated, the E at the beginning is going to turn into a E. Let's see. J'aime, j'aime. Tu aimes, aime. Il aime, il aime. So, j'aime, tu aimes, il aime. Compared to aimer, aimer. The next one is when EN make the sound un. That was my knee again. So yeah. Un examen. So I don't say un examen, I say un examen. Main. Un examen. Main. So main comme hand. Main. Okay? The next one is when C is pronounced G. We have une seconde. Seconde. I don't say seconde, I say seconde. Seconde. So that's for the time, a second. And then we have second, seconde. So this is for masculine and feminine. So this is more for the rank. The second one, the second book, etc. When AON is at the end of the word, we are going to pronounce it as on. We don't say AON, we say on. Un, fond, fond. Un, fond. So I don't say un faon, faon. I say un fond. Un, temps, temps. And un, pan, pan. Un, pan. So this is very easy to remember because they're all animals. This one we've seen it also very recently, few lessons ago, when UM at the end make the sound and not We have un forum, forum. Maximum, maximum, mum. De l'opium, de l'opium. When BS in the middle of the word is pronounced PS, we have absolument, absolument, absolument. Absent, 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 absent. This one is also a word that you learn quite quickly when you learn French. When AY is pronounced EI, such as un pays, pays, un pays, pays. So we don't pronounce the S at the end. Un pays. Now I have two different words with two different pronunciations. They are both right, they are both correct. It just depends on the area. So the same word, a pineapple, but sometimes we're going to pronounce the S at the end, sometimes we're not going to pronounce it. So you can say un ananas, or you can say un ananas, un ananas, un ananas, un ananas. Personally, I found out that I say un ananas when I just said the two words un ananas, but if I say it in the sentence, I'm going to say un ananas for some reason. The next one is not about S at the end, it's about T. So when we have 20, we can say vingt, vingt. So we don't pronounce the G, vingt, or we can say vingt. 20. Both work, both are correct. The next one is when we have same word with two different pronunciations depending on how we use it. Let's see. We have tous and we have tout. Tous, tout. There's a very, very large rule that says that you use tous when you talk about people and you use tout when you talk about objects. It's a very, very abstract rule. There's way more than that, but at the beginning you can just remember that one. Once again, very abstract rule. The next one is when we have plus and plus. I have a video on that, I will link it in the description box for you. So we say plus when we want to say more, and then we say plus when we say not enough or not anymore. If you want to know more about it, go watch the video. My favorite part is all about irregular plurals. So when we have the singular noun and the plural noun with two different pronunciations. Let's see. The first one, we have un, neuf, œuf. So this is a closed E. Un, neuf. But we have des œufs, œufs. So that's the open E. Un neuf, closed sound, we pronounce the F at the end. Des œufs, open sound, we don't pronounce the F at the end. This one is the exact same thing. Un bœuf, bœuf, des bœufs. Un bœuf, close E, des bœufs. Un bœuf, des bœufs. This one gets people very confused all the time. We have un œil, œil, so that's the close E, followed by the rolling E. Un œil, des yeux. So for this one, this is the rolling E followed by the open E. Un œil, des yeux. Un œil, des yeux. And the last one, we have un os, so here we pronounce the S at the end. Un os, des os. We don't pronounce the S at the end. Un os, des os. So here is going to be the closed O, and here is going to be the open O, the soft O. Un os, des os. That's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Tomorrow we are going to talk about the word stress in French. So don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the video. And I will see you tomorrow. À demain.